Hey guys, I'm Kaya, and it always drove me nuts how much Spider-Man shows his face in the movies. Seriously, he takes off his mask all the damn time, but I get it. It's hard for the audience to connect with blank, unmoving fabric. Like, ever notice how his eyes constantly change size and shape in the comics? It's kind of a cheat. There's no in-universe explanation for it, it's just a shortcut artists use to show Spidey's emotions. And it wasn't possible at all in live action, at least until the MCU came up with a genius solution. Homecoming could have Spidey's best on-screen costume ever, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Today, we're taking a look at the evolution of Spider-Man's live-action costumes, starting with the early incarnations. Okay, so the first live-action appearance of Spider-Man was in a Turkish movie called Üç Deb Adam. Thanks to a little trick called not giving a shit about copyright law, we saw Spider-Man and Captain America do battle 40 years before Civil War.
Captain? Big fan of Spider-Man.
Though in this case, Spider-Man was a straight-up villain with a crappy green costume. I don't know why, whatever. Spidey's first authorized appearance was on The Electric Company. It was an educational show with short little segments starring Spider-Man. The costume isn't too bad actually, it's just a simple spandex version of the comic book design. It looks a little silly, but it works just fine for kids' TV. There was a live-action Spider-Man show in 1979, but that actually had a worse uniform. It's the same basic design, but the material was all wrinkly like a cheap Halloween costume. Even though he had no pants to hold up, he wore a utility belt with a big silver buckle shaped like his face. Basically narcissism at its finest. There's also just one web shooter. It's a big bulky bracelet that Spidey wears on the outside of his suit. I do kind of like the round reflective mirror eyes. They're creepy and bug-like. I'm a fan. The whole outfit has kind of a homemade vibe, which I don't think they were actually going for, but I mean, it's great for the early time cosplayers. And at least it looked better than Marvel's other 70s TV heroes. I mean, except for the Hulk. Can't really screw that one up. Japan had its own Spider-Man show around this time too. It used the same costume with a couple of minor differences, like the eyes, which were no longer bug-like, and you know, a giant transforming robot named Leopardon. Casual. Spidey's adaptations would get a little more faithful in the Sam Raimi trilogy.
It's Spider-Man!
Okay, so I'm gonna fangirl a little bit here. The Sam Raimi's trilogy is one of the best superhero trilogies of all time, and I know some people have like complaints or whatever, but it's still better than what came before it, and you know what? X-Men, I know everyone loved it, and I mean, yeah, X-Men started this whole superhero revival and everyone praised its great acting and interesting story and fun script. You know what no one praised? The frickin' uniforms. They were the worst.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
They were ugly, matrixy, black jumpsuits without any of the color or style from the comics, and they were impractical as hell.
Oh my god, whoa. It's just impossible to get your leg up.
But that was the only thing we had to go off of when Sony announced their Spider-Man movie, so there weren't high hopes for the costume. Like, how the hell was Spider-Man gonna do his thing in tight, stuffy leather? They tried some different designs. Comic artist Alex Ross submitted a cool black and red one. It wasn't used, but it inspired the later costumes of Miles Morales and the Superior Spider-Man. Thankfully, our fears were put to rest when we saw the first picture of Tobey Maguire all suited up. It sticks close to the comics with just a few changes, so it wouldn't read as an ugly blob of color on screen. Like the raised webbing design made out of rubber, and the honeycomb texture printed throughout the material. It still looks great, but I've always had a couple of issues with it.
Looks uncomfortable.
It gets kind of itchy. It rides up in the crotch a little bit too.
The bulky muscle suit Tobey wore underneath the spandex doesn't do him any favors. I personally kind of prefer a scrawnier, lankier Spider-Man. I don't want my Spidey looking like a WWE superstar.
3 minutes of heat time!
I mean, that's just me. Also, I like the reflective stuff they used for his eyes, but their shape is a little too pointy and angular. I'm more of a buggy girl. And while we're here, I also gotta give a special shout out to the original trilogy for not even trying to adapt Spider-Man's awesome costume from the Venom saga. They literally just took his regular suit, dipped it in black dye, and called it a day, which is kind of lame. I do love his homemade outfit though. Homecoming has a cool version of it too. Andrew Garfield, not so much. Remember The Amazing Spider-Man? Okay, look, guys. Sony dropped the ball with this reboot, but I'll give them this. They tried to do something very different with the costume. It takes some inspiration from Ben Reilly's awesome 90s Spider-Man costume, like the blue fingers and the big chest symbol. They also got rid of Spidey's traditional belt line. He looks naked without it, like a dude wearing blue body paint with a bright red arrow pointing at his junk. It's not the best. I'm glad his web shooters are back though, and I like how you can see the little discs on his suit light up when they're used. You could call the costume more realistic, even though I have no idea how a poor kid from Queens could make something that looks like it came out of a Nike's test lab. I mean, look at those sneakers. Does Aunt May know about the sweatshop he keeps hidden in his room? Overall, the costume has some interesting ideas, but it all seems a little too slick, like it's different just for the sake of being different. Pretty much like they're trying too hard not to be Toby and they're trying a new thing and they're like, we're just gonna be cool, and it's just like it just doesn't work. That definitely wouldn't be the case in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Look, the less said about this movie, the better, but we can't ignore how awesome its costume was. They ditched the basketball-looking suit from the first movie and went with a new design that's ripped straight from the comics. Like, seriously, it's exactly the comic book suit. I love those big Todd McFarlane eyes. They're a little buggy. They're like big buggies. I didn't think they'd ever be able to top this one, but now that we've seen the MCU Spider-Man in action, I think I have a new fave. Now, Spidey's eyes have these mechanical lenses that narrow and widen as the scene demands. They're buggy, like, you know, like they're like buggy eyes. It's even justified in universe since they're used to focus Peter's new senses.
Can you even see in these?
Yes, I can't. Look, I can see in those, okay? It's just that when whatever happened, it's like my senses have been dialed to 11. There's way too much input, so they just kind of help me focus.
That's story done right, people. Take note. The costume plays a big role in the plot of Homecoming. It's a gift from Tony Stark, all decked out with fancy tech. So that explains how a 15-year-old can afford a super suit that would make Batman jealous. Kinda makes me jealous. The chest symbol turns into a drone and it's got a cool AI like Jarvis.
Activating advanced reconnaissance mode.
I'm sick of sitting around out here.
That is awesome.
Ultron conspiracy theory, anybody? No one? Cool. He's even got armpit wings. But I'm glad they didn't go with the Iron Spider armor from the original Civil War storyline, because the Homecoming suit fits the design language established by the MCU. Most of the costumes we've seen have kind of a military style. They're all about function, or at least looking that way. So no more raised webbing. In fact, now it looks cut into the material. There's a lot of lines to break up colors and create a visually stimulating look, like these black bands around Spidey's uniform that connect to his belt and web shooters. They're new, but they work with the design and they're justified by all the new technology he's rocking. Honestly, I just love what they've done with this costume. And I can't wait to see how it evolves in Infinity War and everything after. But please, Sony, Marvel, whoever's listening, let's just keep this one for a little while, okay? Cool, great, thanks. I'm just gonna start like this. Hi, I'm Kaya. I really love Spider-Man's new outfit, in case you haven't noticed. The MCU one is just amazing. I really wanna know what your favorite part of the new costume was, so feel free to comment down below. And please subscribe because we're gonna have more great content on the way. So thanks.